before we begin, please, you know what to do. If you haven't done it already, subscribe, comment, like, share, and if you'd be so kind, hit that super thanks. We're here with R&B, Robert Meyer Burnett. We're gonna talk Picard because I finally saw the first 2 episodes of this latest season. Picard season 3, is it that good? Before I've only seen the first 2 episodes. How many episodes are out right now?
9.
And
Episode 10 drops Wednesday at midnight.
And it's a 10 episodic season?
Yes, the last episode's this week.
Okay, so tell us about season 3. Is it that good?
Well, I think it is. I mean, here's what I really have liked about it. I think I've always loved seeing characters come back years later in any story. Like, I was a huge fan of the movie The Color of Money with Paul Newman and Tom Cruise, because The Color of Money, the character Paul Newman is playing, Fast Eddie Felson, we first met him in the movie The Hustler that came out in the 60s. You know, with Jackie Gleason, and he plays the same character in 1986. You know, it's over 20 years later, and he's a very different guy. His life's in a very different place, and we pick up and see where he is. And I was not a fan of Picard seasons 1 and 2, and if you're a Next Generation fan, seeing the Next Generation cast come back, they're different people. You know, they've changed, and it's a story that's all about sort of legacy and what is your responsibility to your friends and family. What do you pass along to the next generation, both biologically, ideologically, emotionally, and what are the responsibilities we have to one another over the course of time. And I think it deals with a lot of the big themes. Now, there's a lot of people who have been detractors of season 3 that are, and I totally understand this, they get very nitpicky when it comes to Star Trek canon and things like that, which I understand because I'm one of those people. However, to me, characters and story trump canon. I'm willing to caress canon violations into something if the story and characters are great. And I think that the characters and story that's being told in Picard season 3 is a good one, even though people have leveled the criticism. It's kind of like Star Trek's greatest hits. And I'm like, well, I don't mind that, because that's part of the whole, what they're doing is there's recurring themes throughout Star Trek. And I think it works for what it is. And it's like the 5th, there's only 4 Next Generation movies, and none of them are great. I mean, First Contact's probably the best, but this is kind of an extension of that movie. And it's a 10-episode Star Trek movie in my mind. The first 4 episodes are Act 1, the episodes 5 through 8 are Act 2, and the 9 and 10 are like a Star Trek movie.
Well, I got to tell you, it doesn't get more normie for me whenever someone talks to me about Star Trek. It's like, you know, I like the movies when I was growing up, and I kind of, you know, appreciated and watched all, you know, the Next Generation in my 20s. Right. That being said, I finally saw episode 1 and 2 of season 3 because he told me I don't need to see the first 2 seasons.
No.
I tried watching season 1, episode 1 and 2, and wow, I don't know what that was. I was immediately like just hooked with these episodes. Besides it looking great, and you know, I felt like I was watching a movie. It was really cool to see these characters that I was kind of familiar with coming together, and you know, there's an adventure. He wants to go on a new adventure. Well, you got it.
Yeah.
You know, I think like someone like you were saying, and what people were saying in the chat, is very, very much like a greatest hits. But isn't that what we want?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what's really interesting is people forget, you know, Next Generation had a lot of clunker episodes. So it's not like it was some show that was beyond reproach that you couldn't criticize.
Right.
And as much as I love Star Trek, I mean, the Next Generation had a lot of episodes that left something to be desired. And I think that people forget that, and everybody wants perfection now. And I think that it was a good what Star Trek Picard season 3 delivers is a really interesting story that has
Mhm.
really interesting ramifications on many different levels, and it actually has something to say to all of us, which is what all you can ask for from any story. You know, you want to learn something and maybe feel something. And I thought that I mean, I haven't gotten so emotional watching Star Trek since Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Well, I mean, there's that new character. She's, undercover, substance abuse,
Yeah.
former, great character. And then I find out at the end of season episode 2, it's her boss was dwarf, right?
But yeah. Yeah,
Well,
she's
so
working.
far that I know. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that is bad as badass."
Yeah, yeah.
And he's an older guy. I liked it.
Yeah,
I
he's
like that.
he's turned into Pai Mei from Kill Bill. It's great.
I mean, so yeah, so far it's very clear what each character and what they're trying to accomplish, and then even bringing back 7 of 9, um, and even that new captain that was being a hard ass, that was a great little character. So a good balance of new and old characters.
Deals a lot with
No,
there's been an obsession in modern Star Trek to deal with artificial intelligence across
mhm,
many and they have the idea that in season 1 about synthetic people,
mhm,
androids, and how
mhm,
there's an android revolt. And
mm,
it was a bunch of half-baked ideas that didn't make a whole lot of sense. They wanted to make it an allegory of oppressed people rising up or a slavery allegory. The problem is Star Trek The Next Generation already dealt with that in its second season in one of the great episodes of Star Trek, not just The Next Generation, but ever, which is an episode called Measure of a Man, where Starfleet Data has to argue whether Data is a person or property. And it's pretty great. And it was already decided, that Data is a person. So
mhm,
the idea that in Star Trek they've then created a slave, a synthetic slave race that's in servitude to the Federation doesn't make any sense
mhm.
because that was already literally legal policy that was created. So I understand. I just didn't think it worked. And there's a bunch of other ideas that happened too, but it didn't seem
Well,
great.
R&B, I know some of the backstory of this season with you and the showrunner.
Yeah.
And so I know you've been pushing me to see it, and I, I can't wait. I know I'll have some free time later on today, and man, I'm jumping right back in.
I think you're going to dig it, especially, if you when you get to the end of episode 4, it's really satisfying what you've seen. It all works really, really, really well.